Welcome to Season 2, Episode 13 of the Bulls REKAP Podcast. I'm Joe Colley of the Chicago Sun-Times. You can follow me at the Sun-Times. You could follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at jcolleyhoops. Please just subscribe to this channel. I mean, there's so much fun things going on. I love watching Cap drink his coffee in the morning. And obviously the Crime Dog's got a lot of stuff going on with the lunch stuff. It's just a fun channel right now. So I would say, hit that subscribe button and follow along as much as you can. And speaking of the Crime Dog, it's been a little bit, so I think it's time we hash out the horrible week that is Bulls basketball. I'm still kicking myself that I bought into this thing.
Yeah,
I did, and I'm trying to figure out. I know what went wrong, but I can't believe it's gone this far off the tracks where this team went from feel good to, hey, we all love each other, and me even comparing it to the 05 White Sox and spring stand behind that. The information has obviously changed, but I think these dudes really do like each other to where we are now, where I'm seeing a city that, are they the most hated team right now in the city? It feels like
I don't want to change the question.
Which would be worse if people just don't give a damn. That's worse.
I'd say most irrelevant team. Most irrelevant team. I think it's right? Because the Hawks are still –
the Sox have something coming. I mean, they have something to be excited about. It doesn't mean you're going to see it. But getting that number one pick and getting the dude who everyone thinks is going to be a dude.
And coming off the 41 – like if we were coming off the 41 and 121 – but they improved by 20 games to get the number one pick. So they're not irrelevant. Cubs are not irrelevant. Bears are hot. And the Hawks have a superstar in Bedard. The Bulls are irrelevant.
And so we all know horrible week leading into Charlotte. So I fly to Charlotte and we joked around. It was December 12th and it's a must-win game in Charlotte, which shows you just how much you've bottomed out. That it's must win. And this is not the media saying this. This is the players feeling it. And two things I took from that game. A, all my stroking of Con Knipple in the summer is 100% legit because this dude, seeing his numbers and watching him on TV is one thing. Watching this dude play and seeing the stuff he does off camera and the teammate he is on the bench, my God, is he a dude. I could see why there were some people with the Bulls that loved this dude, did some fact checking on him, and knew unless they traded up, he was going to be gone by top 5. So, there are people putting him in, he could be late lottery. I was like, no. So seeing him and the way he operates, you talk about a kid that is just a professional freaking basketball player and putting up numbers for a guard that could be as good of a guard season as anybody since Luka. Maybe.
Wow, that's saying
so. That was one take. The second take was how hard it was just to win that game and beat Charlotte. And everyone said everything in the locker room after. I talked to Kobe White about the story I broke about the trade stuff. He was great talking about that. But they all talked about how this one win has to propel them. This one win, they have to build off of it. This one win, blah, blah, blah. And then the last part of this easy part of the schedule comes up, and what do?
Fall on their face. Lose by 10 to the Pelicans.
I don't know how ownership, how the front office can look at this and say, yeah, we're going to stick with competitive integrity, and we're going to stick with the idea of going with this group forward. It's broken. I don't know how it gets back on track. And guess what? That was the easiest part of the schedule. You got 2 with Cleveland, 2 with Atlanta, Milwaukee, who's struggling, but still, they got some dudes. If who knows when Giannis is going to come back? That's late December. You got Minnesota, you got Orlando, you got another Charlotte, Boston, 2 in Detroit, or 1 in Detroit, 1 in this was your 2-3 week window of just layups. And they blew it. And I don't even know what to say about this team right now.
Yeah, and you've kind of written about it in the last few weeks. That's why I see there's no like. It's one thing to fall on your face, but when I don't think that there's no belief in the room anymore. I think that's what it feels like to me when I listen to the podcast every week you do it, and when I read what you're writing, that they're starting to look around and go, okay. I mean, what are there? 8 guys on an expiring deal, right? 8.
Well, there's 6 for sure, and then obviously the 2 rookie contracts for Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips, which they have to make decisions on. But I mean, if you're going to start selling pieces, then you got to try gutting it all, and those guys
have to. You can't half-ass it. There's no. You can you can't misstep this. I mean, Vooch has gone. I don't know what's up with Vooch. Like you look at his box score every night, and you're going, and there's been some effort. When I watch the Bulls game, when I look at what the definition of effort is, and then I run far away from it when I think about the Chicago Bulls of late. Like which is hard to believe because, like I go back to that Portland game that they had no business winning after blowing that huge lead, but then they were in that fight or flight. They were in fight mode for like that 5-0 start, and it was fun. And you did the podcast, and when you were like, "I believe," I'm like, "Holy hell!" Then I believe too. I think now that we're removed from it for what it's been, 15 games since then. I was going to ask you: is it more surprising that they were 5-0, or are you more surprised that it's gone this bad this quick?
I'm surprised it's gone this bad this quick because yes, they had some injuries, but the whole damn association is dealing with injuries.
Yep.
But when you look, Josh Giddey has not missed many games.
No.
Vooch has not missed many games. I don't think Modest has missed any games. So, those should be your 3 key pieces. And the big chunk that Kobe White missed is when they were playing their best basketball. Then you get Kobe White back, and all of a sudden this thing goes. And I'm not blaming Kobe. No. I think, they lost some depth, Trey Jones, blah, blah, blah. Okay, was this thing that fragile that you needed every piece to be just perfect? If it was, then it's a crappy build in the first place. And what I do, I think it was a perfect storm of they jumped out of the gate. Teams weren't ready to run. Teams had intention to run. Your Miamis, Orlando's, teams that were really slow last year had the intent to run, but not yet, and they were still trying to, develop this new mentality and this new game plan. So I think there was that, but at the same time, the Bulls were playing really well, and there was an effort on defense. I am more surprised with how quickly the collapse has come, and even the third part of this thing is I don't think they know how they can get out of this now.
That's the part where I'm talking about turning. They're looking around the room going, this is who we got, and it ain't going to be, we don't have enough. And I might be piling on here, but I think it's fair because I like Vooch, and you've talked about him a lot here on the pod. Look, you pull out his last 4 games. I'll just do points and rebounds. What's going on? 8-4, 9-6, 13-3, 12-8 with field goal percentages. I mean, 31-3, 30.8, 42. What do you see there? Because I don't. Right. They don't go.
No, that's a fair question. But in talking to him, and a lot of it is just off the record BS. Julia Poe did a really good story on him, and he's hinted about this before off the record. After the trade deadline last year, if you look, he had like 3 or 4 games where he was just like moping, and I think he was just despondent that they didn't move him. But then it kind of clicked where he said, okay, they're going to move me this summer. They're not going to want a lame duck center. So let me turn this around. During that 15-5 run to end the season, he was great. And then the beginning of this year, 3 game winners, 2 of them were at the horn winners. Another one was like 30 seconds left, ended up being a game winner. And he's engaged. And then I just think he was just like, get me out of here. I mean, I just feel like, and I'm not saying he's quit. I just feel like he has just
exhausted with the gut,
and he's just exactly.
It kind of goes back to that end game interview when he's like telling everybody to shut the hell up.
That was it.
It's almost like that was the moment he's like, okay, like we shouldn't be celebrating this. I can't do that. I've been doing this for years now here.
Get me somewhere else. And he's an expiring contract, so I don't. What are you showcasing? I mean, the league knows what he is. The league knows what he can do.
Really good point.
And so now, last year you're showcasing something because you still have a year left on your contract and you have a summer to be traded. This is 6 weeks away from the trade deadline, a little bit over 6 weeks away. There's nothing to showcase at this time. I think he wants, and I think the league is more aggressive with early trades where you're not waiting until the deadline. I mean, we saw that last year. Just do what you can to get him out. I mean, and again, I don't know what's on the table for Vooch. I do know that there are teams interested in Kobe. And, I had the story with the Timberwolves being one of them. The problem is Kobe is locked into this idea that he is not going to settle for a contract right now. So if you're trading for Kobe, which lessens his value because it is a strict rent a player who wants to test July out. And that's tough. I mean, that puts the Bulls in a tough situation. But, he made it very clear with them that I'm not signing with you guys. I want to go shopping in July. I will give you guys the first opportunity. He and his camp are amicable throughout this entire process. Ideally, they'd like to stay with the Bulls. But now you kind of just have to move him and get him wherever you can get him and do it with a team that says, all right, we don't need a promise, but we're going to hope that he enjoys playing with us so much and we have so much success with him that this is going to want to be his landing spot. That's a problem. That's a tough sell. And so maybe he does. Maybe he comes off of it. Maybe it's a place that feels like home for him because he's never got his big payday. So I get why he's chasing that. I mean, his last deal he took was a team-friendly deal because he was just in the situation he was in. And he took it, and it was a cheap deal. And now it's time for him to get paid and be that $25 million guy that Josh Giddey is. So the whole thing is just this is as gone as poorly as you could have asked a team to go, considering the circumstance of what they had. And I don't, like we've said, I just don't see a fix. I mean, unless everyone can get back on the same page, I don't see a fix.
But the fix is actually the only fix is to go and strip it and sell.
Without question.
But the question, and I know you're going to talk about AK, but is he willing to admit that? Because that's the only, to me, there's zero scenario where I keep Kobe White because, he's going to test free agency. So we're not going to get what we want. So we'll give him a contract. No. This is an estate sale, Joe.
Yeah. No, I got
the whole house is open. I'm trying to make decisions right now on the two guys you talked about on those two players that they have to figure out those decisions are being made right now. You either like them or you don't. You're offering them a contract or you're not, and they're part of deals to be made. And that's it. Everything must go. You got Giddey, you got Billy, and you got Modest. And that's it.
Yeah. I would, and Trey Jones, his contract is now tradable because we're after December 15th or 16th because he was an early signing in free agency. So that's movable now. I'd say the only other player of the eight movable. P will.
Yeah, you're stuck with him. So he's.
But if you can trade Kobe and package him.
Yeah. I'm taking the flat basketballs back. Yeah. Where do you need him to be driven? I'll pick him up.
Right. The only piece that I would think about keeping is Ayo.
Yeah.
If it feels like you can sign him, but if it feels like a team wants him and you could package him with something, he's got to go. I mean, like you said, this is a Giddey, Modest, Billy. That's it. That's where we're at. And here's the thing. I asked Billy about competitive integrity. And to his credit, he brought up a good point. It's one banner of competitive integrity that the Bulls are waving, but it means two very different things. For him, competitive integrity is ownership not coming to him and saying, we need you to start losing games, sit this guy, play this guy, do this, do this. So he's operating to put wins on his resume, which every coach will do.
Yep.
Competitive integrity for the front office is we are not moving pieces. We love what we've built here, and we're going to ride it through. That's where I have a big problem with the idea of competitive integrity. When
Yep.
Billy's operating with competitive integrity, I have no problem with that. Players and coaches aren't tanky. When the front office is going to continue to ride this thing out, if they do, shame on him. Because if Arturas Karnisovas is not seeing what's in front of his face with what this group is doing, and then more importantly, what he missed by trying to tank for that 25 class, and I mean, just go right down the line. Cooper Flagg, second youngest guy, or no, youngest player ever to score 40 points. Number 2, Dylan Harper. If anybody's watching him, I'd like to see him play more and get more minutes. But if anybody's watching him, ridiculous. VJ Edgecombe, loved him. We see what he's doing. Con Knipple, 4. Ace Bailey, as much as he got ripped going to Utah and as much of a headache as he caused, he's 10, 11 points a game as a rook. Trey Johnson shooting 40% from 3. Fears from New Orleans. I mean, the sneaky guy. And when you look, I think he's the 3rd or 4th leading scorer in the rookie class. And then when you get to 8 and Igor Demon, he's hit and miss. Colin Murphy-Boyles playing well for Toronto. Malawash is the first one for sure out of the top 10 where you say, okay, he's kind of a project, but also the Suns are playing really well and there's just not room for him. 11, Coward, freaking balling for Memphis. At times, probably their best player. And then you get to what the Bulls did. So you didn't covet. You were just going to take the cards that were handed to you because you didn't covet that 25 class. Forget about Derek Queen at 13. We've already discussed what a catastrophe that's turned out to be. But you didn't covet the talent in that class, and you're going to do that again for 26, which is very similar to 25. If you do, I mean, shame on you. And I understand his contract extension, we're guessing, was obviously this year, next year, probably the year after that. Jerry, I'm guessing, would be willing to eat 1 year of that extension. So when you think about it, he's probably got this year and all of next year to show signs of life before it would be interesting to see if Jerry and Michael would fire him after that. But he's at least got this year and next year. They're not going to eat 2 years of
so if I was pretending to be AK and I knew I had this year and next year, you know what I would do? I would sell on, because it's the only way that you're showing you have a pulse and that you give a damn. Because the ownership is to blame in all of this, because they should know that the 25 draft, like I look at what's going on with Golden State this week, right? A fan emails the owner, fans pissed off, valid points in the email. He's talking about a damn, he's talking about a franchise that has so many banners, but he's so frustrated because enough's enough. We're 13 and 14 and we're running the same crap. And our coach, who's a Hall of Fame, and the owner's tagging back and listening, going, yeah, you're right. Boom, 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 boom. But not here. So AK's been allowed to sit on his hands through through extensions and failed draft picks, failed signs, and failed recognition that what they're doing is the laughing stock of the league. That's what it is. And so if you actually care about your position as an NBA exec and you want to stay through the length of your deal, I would walk into the Reinsdorf's office myself and say, it's very clear that 5-0 was as big of a sham as we've seen in a long time. Right. And that the last 20 games were 5-15, and this is who we are. And I think we got to get rid of as many of these expiring deals as possible and load up for any positioning in the 26 draft. And then hopefully this is not a tear it down to the studs, because we really like the guy we just signed for 100. We really like the kid we drafted 2 years ago. And we really like our Hall of Fame coach. So maybe in 27, we can position ourselves to take on somebody else's failed star. And if he doesn't do that, then he should be fired.
100%. And the thing I've not seen from Arturas is him come out hat in hand and say, I was wrong about this, or I messed up this and I'm going to do better. That is yet something.
And that's how people get fired, Joe. That's how people get fired. When you fail to recognize, anybody can sit there and taste themselves after winning it all. You deserve those kudos. But when you can't do it on the back end, and when you don't have the banners to prove it, and you can't say, when you're looking down the line, looking for everybody else to be accountable, but you fail to look in the mirror, fireable offense.
100%. 100%. We brought up some names. Here's an interesting thing. Is there anybody you would keep besides the guys we mentioned?
No. I mean,
that's it.
I don't even know if Io would be in my. The
package comes along for Io.
I mean, I'm really into the Josh Modis Billy, and Billy's the coach. So
and Noah, but who knows?
Well, I'm tied to that failure.
Tied to him. Yeah,
I'm saying failure already, but that's unfair. But tied to that project. How about
You're
that?
Tied to that project. Yeah,
tied to that project, and everybody else is. I mean, I'm listening to everything. Second round picks. I'm looking at protected first rounders. I mean, I see what's going on around the league, and people aren't afraid to trade picks 20, 30. I mean, It's crazy, but the Bulls are never engaged in any of those deals. I give AK credit for the Caruso trade. I do. It looks like a good trade. I thought that they should have traded. No wonder that Oklahoma City didn't trade draft capital. Why would they? They knew, and they're doing it. They're doing it with an organization that knows that's everybody in the entire league knows what's going on. So why would they give the Bulls any position? Now that's a whole different story. But I like the Giddey trade. They extended him. They extended him at a price where they didn't actually outbid themselves for once. Other than that, though, I think I like Midas. I think, but the problem with players that you like, and I know you really like Midas because I'm going
to get into this on Kali Island, but this is not. I expected a little bit more. I don't know if it's because Kobe came back and he's become and Modest has become a little more passive. But when Kobe doesn't play, I looked at the numbers. It's not like it's a huge jump, but there are some games without Kobe where he plays really aggressive, and so he's got to figure that out.
Then I'm going deeper into film as an exec. Maybe Mark Eversley can actually turn on a game tape and see why that is. Is that because is Kobe a winning player? And if that's if Modest is giving more effort and playing harder when Kobe's not, you have to answer questions about Kobe. You're going to have Modest in your camp, and you've been around multiple sports for a long ass time. We've both made careers in this. We've seen good young players fall into their own self pit or what's going on around them. And when the team has a bunch of veterans looking around going, there's no fix here. How do you think that rubs off on a young player?
Yeah, 100%. And this reminds me of, and it's not, I don't think the Kobe Modest thing is this, but I hope it doesn't become this. Larry Markkinen and Zach LaVine could not coexist.
And there you go.
When Zach was out and it was just Chris Dunn and Lowry was putting up like 25, 10, and 8. I mean, it was ridiculous what he was doing. And it wasn't a small sample size. This was like 6 weeks, 8 weeks of just him just going off. And then Zach got back. And, so I don't think this is it because Kobe's not Zach. He's not a, ball-centric type guy. But this is now up on Modest to say, I'm not going to be that guy that's just a passenger in the car. I can take the wheel too. So, but I'll get into that in a couple seconds here. Last thing before I get you out of here. Do you think Arturas admits that running this thing back as is was wrong, or do you think he is going to be passive and let this thing go through? If you had to guess.
I would say if I were betting on this, I would say there's a minus 500 price on him being passive and a plus 500 price on admission of guilt. And because when I look on the old back of the baseball card, it tells me that AK's he'd be doing something he's never done before in this 100%. Particular seat. So why, what the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and history repeating itself. I'm just now fast forward to trade deadline and let's assume the Bulls made 6 of these guys are gone. I don't even know if he admits it then. He'd probably, his wording would be more of like, we didn't like the way it was working, and when things got out of hand,
Oh,
and
yeah,
injuries
100%.
and injuries this and injuries that, and we were in a position where we had some expiring contracts on a lot of guys we like, but we were forced to make this move. That's kind of the messaging. So I'm definitely taking the latter.
I could hear him say we wanted the financial flexibility for the offseason.
100% ladder. Now that I think about it, I think I mispriced it. I may bet the minus 500. It's more like minus 5,000.
The one thing I will say, I do have a request for Arturas to speak with the media before the trade deadline. We'll see if it's met.
What do you think happens there? Yay or nay?
I think he will do something off the record, or maybe a couple of years ago he gave us a statement in Boston that we could use to kind of. It was very.
Was
generic,
that a piece of paper? Or was it actually a statement in person?
He actually spoke to us and gave us, and the thing is about Arturas, to go up to him and talk to him about anything besides basketball, he's actually a pretty
you said he's a good dude. Yeah.
He's got a good sense of humor, really dry sense of humor and stuff like that. To talk basketball with him, so
it's good that he's got that seat then. Jeez,
100%. So that's it, man. It's just the schedule's getting rougher. I'll be flying to Cleveland and then two in Atlanta right before Christmas time. And it's going to be an interesting next week, because do they step up to the competition, or are they just this bad that they're just going to continue to get rolled? We'll find out. We'll see how it plays out. I'm having a feeling it's the latter, but we'll see. Every time I feel like I've got this team in a box, they jump out of that box. So we'll see.
Well, I look forward to it, brother. I love doing it with you.
All right, brother. Thanks for jumping in with me.
You got it. Anytime.
All right, we're going to get to the island. Modest. Right now, Modest is tied with Zach Edey in scoring for that sophomore class, 5th in scoring. Unacceptable. Alex Sarr, he's taken off in year 2. Castle, he's taken off in year 2. But here's the thing. Kayshawn George, he's playing better than Modest. Jason Tyson for the Cavs, who was picked 20th, he's playing better than Modest right now. George was 24th for Washington. It's time. I put a lot of stock in Modest. He says the right things. I think the makeup is there. It is time for him to start taking over. I don't want to just see flashes anymore. I want to see sustained consistency. It's funny, and not to pile on Kendall Gill, because Kendall and I had this talk face-to-face. He tried telling me last year the Bulls already have Cooper Flagg. They don't need to go for him, and his name is Modest. They don't. He is not Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg is one of one. But the nice thing is Modest has time to become one of one for Modest. Let's please see him start doing that. It's not concerning yet, but it is disappointing. I will say that. It's time to take the step. It's time not to be a passenger. Please start taking over a little bit more and not be passive. So it's in there. Got to see it. All right, list. This is going to be interesting because it's debatable. My opinion of the top 5 worst AK moves. Number 5, because it is so long ago, but it is one I harped on probably longer than any one of them, the max contract for Zach LaVine back in 22. 5 years, $215 million. It is the contract that everyone hates that has it. Now Sacramento's trying to trade him and give it away, and he still has, I believe, this year and next year left on the deal. It's going to be up to $50 million. They are not winning with him. Bad. Number 4, worst deal. Love Vooch. I always am glad that they acquired Vooch. They should have let Vooch go in 23. They should not have extended him, thinking they can run this thing back and Lonzo would become healthy. Not Vooch's fault, but they should not have extended Vooch. Vooch should have been let go and right now playing for a playoff team, maybe coming off the bench for a playoff team, but trying to put something significant in his career instead of this. Number 3, and it's debatable. We're not going to get into the drafting of P. Will. When you looked at his body, we're like, wow, should have been Halliburton 100%. But drafts blow up in your face. But then you extended him. Think about this. 3 straight summers. 22 was the Levine contract extension. 23 was the Vooch extension. 24, you said 5 years, 90 million. P. Will, we feel like once you have money and security, you will jump out of your shoes and be the guy that we thought you were when we picked you number 4 overall. He had a nice first month to the season, and then he is gone on the side of a milk carton. Number 2, I can't get over this. Noah Sengay. You drafted a project. You told the world what you are. You are a guy who's very secure and has no urgency in your position because you can take a guy that of everyone. And I'm not saying there weren't other teams that weren't interested in him in that 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It should not have been the Bulls. It should not have been you. That's a team that, hey, we got time. That's an OKC move. We got time. He's next in line, and that's 3 years down the line. We've got time. It should not have been the Bulls. That was the team that had no time. Terrible. When you look at what this first round of players is doing from 25 draft class, terrible. The number 1 biggest mistake kind of goes hand in hand. You not understanding Arturas Karnisovas. Washington understood it. Charlotte is understanding it. Philadelphia understood it. They're like, Embiid, let's just shut him down. Maxey, shut him down. They were hurt. Maybe if it was a playoff push, 1 or 2 of them could have played. Maybe they couldn't. But teams understood what this 25 class was. And your Utahs, your Washingtons, your Charlottes, maybe even Dallas understand what this 26 draft class was. The fact that you may very well go back-to-back seasons, 25 and 26, with historic classes and historic players coming out of it. They're not there yet. I'm just projecting. And you decide competitive integrity and being able to sleep at your pillow is more important than adding talent from this 25 and 26 draft class as high as you can get, as many lottery tickets as you can have in the draw. However you want to phrase it, shame on you. You've already missed one, the 25 class. Do not let it happen with 26. And if you do, well, we'll be writing stories about the next Bulls executive vice president of basketball operations, because it will not be Arturas Karnisovas. If not, it might not be a year, might not be 2 years, but we'll be soon, and this will be the reason why, because you not understanding what your job is to evaluate talent and bring the highest amount of that talent to your roster. So that's it for me. Be off to Cleveland and Atlanta this upcoming week. Should be exciting. Maybe we'll do a pod from Atlanta before Christmas, a little collie clause. But until then, I got next.